The air was heavy with silence as the expedition team entered the sprawling ruins of the deserted city, the heart of the ancient civilization that once thrived on Cradle. Towering structures, many entwined with thick vines and moss, stretched skyward like skeletal remains of a forgotten giant. The streets below were cracked and overgrown, their once bustling thoroughfares now echoing only the rhythmic footsteps of the explorers. Dr. Lila Moreno led the way, her eyes scanning the facades for any signs of inscriptions or art that might unlock the stories of this lost world. "Every surface here," she murmured, "is a fragment of a story waiting to be told." Commander Jox Harrow followed closely, his tactical instincts alert to potential dangers, but his gaze softened by the breathtaking scale of the city. "It's like stepping into a dream frozen in time," he said quietly. Myra Tanaka activated her scanners, the devices humming softly as they swept the ruins for residual energy signatures. "There's something beneath these streets," she reported, her voice laced with excitement. "Faint, but definitely there." The team paused before a massive stone wall, its surface adorned with a vibrant mural, surprisingly well preserved despite the centuries. Dr. Moreno approached, gently brushing away layers of dust and debris. The mural depicted a vast metropolis, bustling with life under a sky darkening ominously. "Look at the colors," Lila said, tracing the outlines of soaring towers and intricate transport networks. "They tell of prosperity, innovation, but also fear." Eshin Patel, the cultural anthropologist, stepped forward, his fingers hovering over the mural's symbols. "These images suggest a society deeply aware of its own fragility. Their art is not just celebration, but a warning." As they explored further, the team uncovered tablets bearing inscriptions in the forgotten language, partially deciphered in previous chapters. Translations revealed philosophical treatises on balance and hubris, highlighting a civilization wrestling with the dual forces of progress and destruction. "They foresaw their downfall," Essien said somberly. "Their writings express a yearning for harmony, yet an acknowledgement that their advances could lead to ruin." The atmosphere grew heavier as twilight descended, shadows stretching long across the cracked pavement. Around a flickering portable light, the team gathered to read aloud from the tablets, their voices low and reverent. "In the end, they were silent," Lila whispered, "but their legacy speaks louder than any words." Commander Harrow looked around at his team, the weight of history pressing upon them. "We must understand this silence," he said firmly, "not just as an end, but as a caution for our own journey." The silent city, with its haunting beauty and tragic echoes, challenged the expedition to confront the vulnerabilities inherent in any civilization. The discoveries here were not merely archaeological treasures, but mirrors reflecting humanity's own potential future. As they prepared to leave the city's heart, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. The silent streets had spoken, and their message was clear: to move forward. Humanity must remember the past, its triumphs and its failures, and choose wisely. The city behind them seemed to hold its breath, a timeless sentinel awaiting the next chapter of human destiny. And somewhere deep beneath its surface, the pulse of forgotten memories stirred, hinting at secrets yet to be uncovered. What else lay hidden in the silent cities? The expedition's journey was far from over, and the echoes of this ancient world promised to resonate with challenges and revelations still to come. The buried code, the sterile hum of the laboratory tent buzzed softly beneath the alien sky, a stark contrast to the wild, untamed landscape of Cradle just beyond its translucent walls. Dr. Lina Marquez leaned closer to the glowing holographic strands spiraling above her console, tracing the twisting helix with a finger suspended in midair. The genetic code, unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, was unfolding before them, a symphony written not in words, but in sequences of nucleotides preserved for millennia beneath the ancient ruins. "Look at this," Lena murmured, beckoning the others. Professor Emil Kwan and Dr. Tariq Idris hurried to her side, their expressions a blend of exhaustion and exhilaration. The strands pulsed faintly, shifting and adapting as their algorithms interpreted the alien biocode. "This isn't just DNA," Emil said, eyes narrowing behind his glasses. "It's a layered sequence, embedded with metadata, possibly instructions for cellular architecture, developmental pathways, even cognitive frameworks." Tariq's fingers danced over the digital interface. "It's like a blueprint for life itself, encoded with precision far beyond anything terrestrial genetics has achieved." Outside, Captain Asha Rami maintained her vigilant watch, the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. The planet was enigmatic enough without the threat of internal dissent. Yet, as the team delved deeper into the code, tensions began to simmer beneath their professional facades. The crystalline structure they had uncovered the day before sat humming in the subterranean chamber, its bioelectric pulses now understood to synchronize with the decoded genetic data. Lena remembered the moment she first laid eyes on it, how the light fractured within its facets, casting prismatic shadows on the ancient walls etched with symbols of forgotten lore. "It's alive," she'd whispered, breath caught between fear and fascination. Back in the lab, the data revealed something even more startling. The genetic sequences were not merely relics, but functional archives. The civilization had engineered life on Cradle, manipulating genes to create beings, perhaps ancestors of modern humans, or entirely distinct entities whose legacy was locked within these encoded strands. "Are we looking at the origins of humanity?" Emil asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Or a parallel experiment in evolution?" Lena replied, "one that predates Earth's recorded history." As the implications settled over the team, ethical questions ignited a firestorm of debate. Some saw an unprecedented opportunity to harness this knowledge to resurrect extinct forms, to correct genetic maladies, to leap forward in evolution itself. Others feared the consequences. Playing God with ancient codes could unleash unknown dangers, distort human identity, or repeat the mistakes that had doomed the original civilization. "We need to consider the ramifications," Captain Rami said firmly during a tense council meeting. "This isn't just science. It's about who we are and who we want to become." Voices rose and fell, arguments volleyed like shards of glass. Lena felt the weight of history pressing down on her, the buried code a mirror reflecting humanity's deepest hopes and darkest fears. Later, as dusk painted Cradle's twin moons with soft lavender hues, Lena stepped outside the camp. The cool air carried whispers of ancient winds, and the ruins loomed like silent sentinels watching her solitary figure. She thought of the ancestors whose genes they had unearthed, of civilizations erased from memory but living still in the language of life. Could they resurrect the past without destroying the future? The question lingered in the night, unanswered but impossible to ignore. And somewhere deep within the buried code, a silent promise awaited awakening. The team's breakthrough began with a painstaking process of cross-referencing the alien genetic sequences with known human and post-human genomes. Dr. Lena Marquez, whose expertise bridged classical genetics and cutting-edge bioinformatics, led the charge. Alongside her, Professor Emil Kwan applied cryptographic methods to interpret the layers of encoding, while Dr. Tariq Idris engineered the computational models that simulated ancient cellular processes. Weeks passed in a blur of data streams, molecular reconstructions, an endless debate. The ruins themselves, an architectural marvel of crystalline matrices and bioluminescent flora, offered the key to understanding the genetic material's origin. Embedded within the walls were nanoscale conduits that pulsed in harmony with the genetic signals, suggesting an integrated biosynthetic system that transcended conventional biology. One afternoon, as they synchronized their findings, Lena experienced a moment of profound clarity. The genetic code was not static, it was designed to evolve, to adapt, to respond. It was a living archive, a time capsule of life engineered to endure cataclysms and cultural erasures. This civilization didn't just preserve their knowledge in stone or data, Lena explained to the gathered team. They encoded their very essence in biology, ensuring that even if their history was forgotten, their life could be reborn. The revelations sent ripples through the expedition. Conversations turned from scientific curiosity to philosophical inquiry. What did it mean for humanity to be potentially a product of such bioengineering? Could the modern human race be a chapter in a much older story, one that began not on Earth but on Cradle? Captain Rami, ever the pragmatist, raised concerns. If we proceed to use this genetic code to recreate ancient life, we risk unforeseen consequences. The ecological balance here is delicate, and we don't know how these beings might interact with the current biosphere or with us. Opposing voices argued for exploration and potential benefits. We have a responsibility as the inheritors of this knowledge, Emil said, to understand it fully, to apply it wisely. The debate culminated in an uneasy truce. The team would continue research, but refrain from any attempts at biological resurrection until further ethical guidelines were established. Yet, even as they agreed, subtle changes began to manifest. Some members reported vivid dreams filled with ancestral memories. Others experienced inexplicable physical sensations, as if the genetic code was reaching out beyond the confines of molecular structure. Lena suspected the planet itself, with its living archive embedded in every cell of its ecosystem, was responding to their presence. The buried code was not merely information, it was a call, a beacon to awaken dormant legacies. As the chapter closed, the expedition stood at a crossroads, holding the key to humanity's past and the power to shape its future. The buried code was no longer a secret locked in stone. It was a living promise, echoing through time, waiting for those brave enough to listen and wise enough to choose. And the true journey was only beginning. The glowing holograms of the ancient device shifted in the center of the command tent, casting flickering blue light on the tense faces gathered around it. Dr. Maya Lin stood at the forefront, her fingers twitching slightly as she debated the course of action. This technology could elevate humanity beyond anything we've imagined, she said, voice steady but charged. Genetic manipulations, energy sources, even cognitive enhancement sits all here, waiting for us to unlock. Dr. Elias Harper's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. But at what cost? The warnings we found in the archives are clear. The ancients themselves chose to erase this knowledge to prevent catastrophe. We've seen the aftermath, the ruins, the silence. Are we prepared to face the same fate? Captain Anya Solis shifted her weight, her gaze flicking to the darkened perimeter beyond the tent's walls. From a security standpoint, we can't ignore the risk. Activating unknown technology could endanger the entire team. I say we proceed with extreme caution if at all. Jin Park, seated nearby, glanced up from his tablet where symbols glowed softly. The texts caution against interference. They speak of balance, of cycles that must remain undisturbed. Yet, they also hint that the choice lies with those who inherit their legacy. Dr. Felix Navarro clasped his hands together, the lines of worry creasing his forehead. This is more than a scientific decision. It's ethical, philosophical. Do we have the right to rewrite the narrative of human evolution? Or is our duty to safeguard the past, ensuring that history remains a teacher rather than a tool? The team fell into a heavy silence. Outside, the wind whispered through the ruins, carrying with it the weight of countless forgotten years. Maya inhaled deeply, her mind racing through the possibilities and pitfalls. "I propose we establish strict protocols," she finally said. "First, we must understand the technology fully before any activation. Second, we engage in transparent discourse with all stakeholders, including those back on Earth. The decision can't be ours alone." Elias nodded slowly, agreed. But time is a factor. External pressures, governments, corporations, already circling. If we delay too long, control could be lost. Anya's voice softened. "We must also consider the Watchers. If they are truly guardians, their response to our actions could be unpredictable." Jin's fingers danced over his tablet again, projecting a series of ancient images, symbols of thresholds, gates, and cycles. "The crossroads are here, literally and figuratively. Our choice will ripple through time." Felix looked around at the faces illuminated by holographic light, each etched with doubt and determination. "Then let us choose wisely, not as conquerors, but as custodians." As the night deepened, the expedition members debated and deliberated, each argument weaving a complex tapestry of hope, fear, and responsibility. The ancient technology, once dormant, now pulsed with potential and peril. Outside the tent, the planet's silent ruins seemed to hold their breath, watching the fragile human resolve unfold beneath the stars. Somewhere deep beneath the surface, the echoes of the past stirred, awaiting the choice that could awaken or forever silence their legacy. The crossroads had arrived, and with it, the weight of humanity's future hung in the balance. The dense canopy above filtered the pale light of Cradle's twin moons, casting ethereal shadows that danced with the gentle sway of bioluminescent flora. Dr. Alara Voss crouched low, her eyes scanning the undergrowth through the lens of her bioscanner. The soft hum of alien insects and the distant call of unseen creatures filled the humid air, wrapping the team in a cocoon of otherworldly sound. Around her, the expedition subgroup moved with measured stealth, their footsteps muffled by the thick moss carpeting the forest floor. Approaching the coordinate now, Alara whispered into her comlink, her voice barely above the rustle of leaves. The signal had led them Hera region, untouched by the main expedition, marked by unusual biosignatures that defied previous scans. Her heart pounded with a mix of scientific excitement and primal caution. This was a moment that could redefine everything they thought they knew. Captain Malik Reyes, standing sentinel at the edge of the small team, scanned the shadows with a calm alertness honed from years of protecting fragile missions. His dark eyes caught movement's subtle shifts among the glowing ferns. "Eyes open," he murmured, signaling the others to halt. From the depths of the glowing grove emerged figures human in form, yet distinct in their appearance. Their copper-toned skin shimmered faintly under the bioluminescent light, and their amber eyes glowed with an intensity that felt almost hypnotic. Naya stepped forward, the first to break the silence. She was young, barely in her 20s, with long dark braids threaded with tiny glowing beads that pulsed softly like the plants around her. Ilara's breath caught. "Are they alive?" she thought, disbelief and wonder swirling in tandem. The descendants of the ancient civilization, thought to have vanished eons ago, were here hidden, thriving in harmony with this alien ecosystem. Tentative gestures exchanged. Naya's hand rose slowly in greeting, her voice a soft melody of sounds unfamiliar yet strangely resonant. Alara responded with her own cautious signs, the universal language of peace bridging the gulf of time and culture. Around them, the air thrummed with life, the gentle pulse of bioluminescent plants, casting shifting patterns on their faces. Dr. Theo Karim, the expedition's cultural anthropologist, stepped closer, his eyes wide with a mixture of scholarly fascination and deep respect. "This changes everything," he murmured, taking careful notes as he observed the intricate tattoos adorning Naya's arm symbols that echoed the ruins they had uncovered, yet alive and vibrant. The hidden settlement revealed itself gradually, breathtaking fusion of organic architecture and ancient technology. Homes were woven seamlessly into the living trees, their walls pulsing faintly with a soft light, as if the trees themselves breathed and thought. The descendants moved with a grace that reflected profound symbiosis with their environment, their every movement respectful of the delicate balance sustaining their world. Captain Reyes maintained his watchful stance, his senses alert for any threats. Yet, even he could not deny the awe that settled over the group. This was not merely a discovery of relics or ruins, it was a living testament to survival, adaptation, and continuity. As night deepened, the team and descendants gathered around a communal fire, its flames flickering under the vast starlit sky. Stories were shared not just through words, but through music, dance, and the silent language of shared experience. The ancient philosophies of harmony, caution, and coexistence echoed through the night air, weaving a tapestry of connection that transcended millennia. Ilara felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The team had stumbled upon more than science. They had uncovered a people whose existence raised profound ethical questions. How could they protect this fragile community? How much interference was too much? And what did this mean for the broader mission to understand humanity's forgotten origins? The discovery redefined their purpose. No longer merely explorers or archaeologists, they were now custodians of a living legacia, chance to rewrite history with respect and humility. As dawn's first light kissed the horizon, Alara looked out over the settlement, her mind racing with possibilities and uncertainties. The echoes of the ancient civilization lived on, vibrant and unyielding, challenging humanity to rethink its place in the cosmos. The chapter closed on a whisper of hope and caution, a promise that the journey was far from over. The remnants of the past were alive, and with them, the future hung in delicate balance. The cavern breathed with a soft luminescence, casting azure and emerald hues across the walls where ancient runes pulsed faintly beneath layers of moss and crystal. Ilara Miles adjusted her satchel nervously, acutely aware that every word spoken in this sacred chamber could redefine humanity's understanding of itself. Across the low stone table sat Kalen, his gaze steady and unyielding, embodying the weight of countless generations. "We come not as conquerors," Elara began, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach, "but as seekers of truth, and as allies who hope to honor the legacy you have preserved." Kalen inclined his head slightly, the silence that followed stretching taut between them. "Your arrival has awakened echoes old and deep," he replied, his voice resonant with a timbre that seemed to harmonize with the cavern's natural chorus. "Our histories are intertwined, yet veiled by time and silence. What you seek is not merely knowledge, but a covenant." Behind Alara, the expedition team waited, their expressions a mix of awe and apprehension. Dr. Marcus Lynn leaned in, whispering to Commander James Harrow, "This is beyond any data we've collected. We're stepping into living history and politics. Politics we must respect, Harrow replied grimly, eyes scanning the perimeter for any sign of threat. Sira, the young descendant who had become the delicate bridge between the two cultures, stepped forward. The pact is not just an agreement, she said softly, but a promise to remember and to protect, to share without erasing what makes each of us whole. The negotiation unfolded slowly over days, each session peeling back layers of mistrust and revealing common hopes. Kaelin recounted tales of the ancients, their rise and fall, and the painful necessity of withdrawal to hidden biomes. Alara shared the expedition's mission and the ethical framework they sought to uphold. At times, voices rose in passionate debate. Marcus argued fervently for scientific transparency, while Harrow cautioned against exposing delicate knowledge too soon. Kaelin reminded them that the descendants had survived by guarding secrets, and that trust was earned, not demanded. One evening, as bioluminescent petals drifted like snowflakes outside the chamber, Alara and Kaelin found a rare moment alone. "What does peace require?" she asked. "Recognition," Kaelin answered. "That memory is a living thing. Sometimes it must be shielded, sometimes shared. We offer you our memories, but only if you vow to carry them with reverence." The final ceremony was held beneath the twin moons of Cradle, their silver light bathing the assembly in ethereal glow. Tokens were exchanged, a carved crystal symbolizing knowledge and a woven band representing continuity. The pact was sealed, not with signatures alone, but with shared stories and promises whispered under the stars. As the expedition departed the cavern, a hush fell over the team. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with political and ethical challenges. Yet, for the first time since landing on Cradle, a fragile hope blossomed, a hope that humanity's rediscovered origins might usher in a new chapter of coexistence rather than conquest. Alara glanced back once more at the glowing entrance, feeling the weight of history and the burden of future trust. "This is only the beginning," she murmured. Above, the stars shimmered like silent witnesses to a pact that echoed across time, binding past and future in a delicate dance of memory and promise. The questions lingered, but the journey forward was clear: to navigate the delicate balance between knowledge and respect, between discovery and preservation, and to forge a future where both humanity and its ancient descendants could thrive. And so, beneath the watchful eyes of Cradle's twin moons, the pact was born, a fragile thread linking disparate worlds with the promise of a shared destiny yet to be written.